What's up, guys? It's Chad here with Juvia's coming through my driveway today. If you've been following the channel, you know behind me is my 2020 Ram 2500 Power Wagon, and it is a part of today's subject. So I'm going to put in some footage here from what I took yesterday. Obviously, you hear an audible tone. Get in the truck. I do have my keys in my pocket. We're pushing down the brake, hitting the start button. And got nothing. So, I'm hearing a weird popping sound out of the speakers. But anyways, let's go and see if this jump box will jump the truck. But it is Saturday morning, and yesterday, Friday, got off work and had to go pick up the kids at school, and guess what? Truck would not start. Prior to that, we were gone for a week for a vacation. The truck had sat. This is a 2020, and we are in the summer of 2025. So the battery had a good run. So right here, okay, I've had this since Christmas, and I haven't used it. It's been sitting charged up, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to use it. Didn't work. Next thing I tried was called a neighbor. My neighbor has a Ford Edge SUV. It's like a 4-cylinder turbo, I believe. Guess what? It wouldn't jump my truck off either. So finally, I called another neighbor with a GMC Denali Yukon with the 6.2. That fired it right up.
GM guys, I don't know what the world. Thank you. Yeah.
So everything turned out okay. But long story short, I had to run down to the battery or AutoZone and pick up a new battery. So on today's video, I'm going to show you how to change the battery in a 6.4 Hemi Ram 2500. Well, here's what we got. So obviously, there's a lot going on with my battery here. I've added a couple accessories. Obviously, you see this 80 amp fuse block here. I got my light bar controller. And this is just one of those fire retardant things they put on factory batteries. I'm probably going to be losing that here. But, yep, that's what we got. The first thing we are going to have to do is remove this. It looks like an old strut tower brace, but it is not. It is just literally a cross brace. So we're going to go for that. Okay, this is let's see what we got. This is a 13 millimeter right here. All right, again, all my stuff is normally from Harbor Freight, so that's why it's kind of got all the crazy colors here. All right. Are a little bit further along. Okay, so pull this up over the bolt. Okay, this comes free. All right. I don't necessarily want to re-zip tie this, so I'm just going to kind of put it over here out of the way for right now. Maybe I'll leave it on that. Okay. All right. We're a little bit closer. As you can see, I got, again, this big fuse block here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to disconnect positive and negative, and we'll go from there. There's a lot of stuff going on with this battery. It even has this little side door here. I'm going to take that off the tripod and kind of show a little bit what's going on here, but just wanted to show a close-up if you've never seen this before. So on the side, they actually have, check all that out. So it's got like a crossbar here, and then it goes down the whole side of the battery, and it's got 4 or 5 other positive ports. So interesting. I'm hoping that can transfer over to the new battery. Got this loosened up. I'm using a screwdriver. I did throw on my gloves just for potential safety. I don't necessarily like working around batteries too much, but we're going to get this battery terminal popped off of here hopefully shortly. It's giving me some grief. All right, that came off. All right, so this whole thing, I don't know if you can see this, but this whole thing is all attached to the positive terminal. So it's all one piece. that came off pretty easily. Let's get going to the negative terminal. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. I've always taken off the positive terminal first, followed by the negative. And then when I'm reattaching, I always do the positive first, followed by the negative. So I'm sure you guys are going to correct me if I'm wrong on that. All right. Got the negative pretty loose here. Let's see if I can get this pried up a little bit. I'm not really sure if the camera's doing it justice. I do kind of have it at a weird angle and stuff, but alright, so I got that all disconnected. Alright, negative is fully disconnected now. Yep, don't really want things to arc, so what I normally do is I'll grab some sort of a cloth towel, wrap it around the terminals, just so it doesn't hit or arc on the battery when I'm trying to take it out. Positive and negative taken off. The only problem I'm seeing now is that I got something holding the battery in. So way down in the side, there is a plastic piece that actually has a long bolt. And I don't know if you can see this or not, but it's actually starting to rain. So not the best thing to be doing out here in the rain. I really need to get this going quick. Yeah, it's way down in there. Let me go see if I got a long extension for this. I'll be back. Alright, I'm going to try to show where this is. It's down on the engine side. See that bolt down there? Right there. I'm going to attempt to use my drill to get down there. Like I said, just how much stuff is still sticking up over here. Yeah, there we go. I don't know if I got it or not. Let's see. Got it. All right. Got the bolt. It is quite a long bolt for just a battery hanger. And let's see if we can grab that little plastic piece out of there now. Alright, don't want to drop it. I think we got it. Here it comes. There we go. So it's this little bitty plastic piece that holds the side of the battery down. So I don't think this is going to work on the new battery, but we shall see. So in theory, the battery should come out now. Should. Yep, there we go. Just have to get some leverage on this thing. Just be careful. If you've never changed a battery before, these batteries can be 30, 40 pounds. I don't know what's hanging up on it. Here we go. Nope. There we go. Here is what we got. Old battery versus new. Now, I'm just going to quickly show you the specs on these batteries. Now, this is the factory FCA battery. Alright, cold cranking amps. We have 730. Okay. The reserve capacity is 140. The amp hours is 80. Alright, let's go over here to the Duralast Platinum AGM. Now, it's saying the cold cranking amps at 0 degrees Fahrenheit is 850. And the cold cranking amps at 32 degrees is 1000. So from 730 to 850 or 1000, you're getting way more cranking amps, which is awesome. And it's got the same, it's 80 amp hour size. Yeah, this is an H7 size battery. Okay, just looking over the construction of the battery. I'll be honest with you, the factory FCA battery, this handle, to me, is way better than these little flappies. Just if you look at them, it's actually flexing when I'm trying to pick it up. So not the best, but again, you only use it once or twice in its lifetime. All right, now, this is a flooded acid battery, okay? This is an AGM. All right, the AGM is going to last a lot longer, in my opinion. In my experience, AGM is a better battery chemistry than the standard flood acid, okay? There's no maintenance to this. You don't have to add water, no nothing, over the life of its lifespan. So, this is what we're putting in. This is what we're taking out. Something else to remember. Now, when you go and purchase a new battery, okay, I go to AutoZone for all of my automotive stuff, but it doesn't matter where you go. Walmart, AutoZone, Pep Boys, O'Reilly's, whatever it might be, okay? When you're looking for a battery, you grab a battery off the rack. Make sure you look at the date, okay? This one, 5 of 25. Now, it is June 1st tomorrow, so this is a brand spanking new battery. In the past, I've grabbed batteries off the rack and looked at the thing after the fact, way long after the fact, and noticed that the battery had already been sitting there for like 8 months to a year. So make sure you get the newest battery on the rack. All right, so let's just get this thing installed. Before you install it, make sure, guys, you take off the caps, okay? I know some people don't have much experience with batteries, but they try to put the terminal right on top of this, and they're like, well, I don't know why it doesn't work. Okay, take it off. All right, let's get this thing in the truck. Now, another thing to point out: the little holder, okay, this little guy. Now, it's actually going to work because this H7 design has the little kick out with the teeth on both sides. Okay, so this little thing is going to actually work with my new battery as well. So, not a bad idea. Before installing the new battery, make sure you get down in the battery box and clean out all the garbage. You got bugs, you got dirt, sand, all sorts of stuff in there. Obviously, if it's completely a pavement princess, you probably don't have anything, but obviously I got some sand down in here, some bugs, some grime, so I'm going to vacuum that out. Got the battery box cleaned out. Now, in my Power Wagon groups or forums, there is talks about putting a bigger battery in the truck. So the factory battery is an H7 size, which is already a pretty good sized battery, but there has been talks about adding the H8, which is quite a bit larger. I believe it goes from 80 amp hours to 100 amp hour capacity, and going from like 1,000 cranking amps to 1,200 cranking amps, but it's about 2 to 3 inches wider of a battery. So the problem with that is the 5th gen 2500s, okay, that have the Hemi, the 6.4 Hemi, all right. The 4th gens, used to throw a Cummins battery box in the truck. Now, the thing with the Cummins battery box is that they can hold a bigger battery. And all they did for the Hemis was they put a little block-off plate in the battery box to hold the H7. All you have to do is take off the little battery, the little block, remove it, and then you can put the H8 in the truck. The 5th gens with the 6.4 Hemi, they get a whole different box altogether. Okay, so here's the box. As you can see, there's no block off. So the H8 battery will not fit in this unless you do some actual modification to this. And the other battery box is probably about this much longer. All right, so yes, I could have gone out and got a new battery box to fit the H8, but I've had no problems with the H7 battery. So, yeah, I'm just going to go with the H7 and run it. All right, guys, let's... Just remember, before going through all the work of getting the battery all the way up here, just make sure that you have the battery oriented positive in the front, negative in the back, in the terminals on the inboard side, all right? In my particular case, the battery is oriented the same way. And again, you got to make sure... Well, there goes a screwdriver. Got to make sure the battery goes down in there just right. All right, so got that. Now I'm going to work on getting the little retention clip put in, and we'll go from there. All right, this is probably going to be a little bit more tricky than it was taking it out. You got to get it lined up perfectly down in there. It actually kind of feels like I did it on the first try. All right, so got it down in there hand tight. Let's see if it even pulls it back. Well, I'll be dang, guys. That was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. All right, let me just get the this down in there. All right. My little system here. I've got a magnetic piece on here, so I want to make sure. All right, guys. Uh-oh. Her disconnects. There we go. We got it. We got it. Yeah. See how that? Yeah, it's good and tight. So that's what you want. You don't want it to be loosey-goosey. All right, next thing, just let's hook up the positive and negative terminals and reattach all this. We should be done. Hopefully she fires right up. All right. Like I said, I always do positive first, but this negative terminal is being a pain. But anyways, let's get to it. So another thing I'm kind of nervous about, like I said, haven't changed this particular vehicle's battery yet. This whole L-shaped bracket thing we got going on here. So I'm going to gingerly move this onto the battery. Oh my gosh. Would you look at that? Would you look at that? This bad boy fits on there absolutely perfect. Again, the nice thing that Mopar did here is they added, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You got 6 positive posts you can choose from if you're adding a lot of extra stuff. Like I said, I got this light bar controller that already has all the inputs inside of it that I can control with a remote, which is awesome. So I don't need any of these, but if I did, they're obviously there. All right, so got that. Let's tighten this up. Let's put the positive on. All right, let's get these tightened up and we will go from there. The positive and negative all connected back up on the battery. Got it all connected up with my light bar controller here. Last thing we got to do is reattach this brace. Again, piece of cake. You got the nice bolt with the washer here, and you got the nut and washer that just goes on the top. Alright, let's get this all battened up here. I don't know, guys, something about that noise of a ratchet just feels good. As long as it's going right, of course. Alright, got this all nice and tight. The battery's all tight. Terminals are all tight. Last thing we got to do is test all electronics. So we'll give this a few minutes to set everything and let it reset, and we'll go from there. The moment of truth. Yeah, make sure you get all your tools and things out of here before starting it up. You don't want anything to fall down in there. So yeah, let's get in here. I waited about 10 minutes after putting the positive and negative terminals on. Let's hope for the best. Now, just a little disclaimer. I have heard of people with RAMs with the 12-inch screens taking 24 to 48 hours for all the apps and all the saved data to actually get back into the system after disconnecting your battery. So let's hope that's not the case, but if it is, everybody says after that it comes back and it's good as new. So let's see. All right. Oh, there we go. Fired right up. Yes, the hood is open. And check engine light is still on, so that's a little troubling. My check engine lights, the check engine light came on yesterday after trying to start it about 3 or 4 times. Not exactly sure what the deal is with that. I'm hoping it just goes off after a few trips. So yeah, started right up. Well, that is the conclusion of my how to replace your battery in your Ram 2500. It isn't that hard. Just a little time, little patience. If I wasn't recording everything and having to switch camera angles, do this and that, I could probably do it in like 15 minutes. All right, it took me about 30 or so because of the camera and everything. I will say on the first test drive, I started up, it started just fine. However, there was some things in my screen that did not work. I'm hoping they come back. My camera system does not work. It says unavailable. My internal themes got changed. I had to reconnect my Bluetooth to the thing. So there's some small things that disconnecting your battery are going to do to your truck, no doubt. Again, hoping everything comes back. Everybody that I talked to says it does. They just have to give it some time for the hard drive and everything to essentially get power, reset, do everything they need to do. So give it 2 thumbs up. The Duralast Platinum AGM battery should last me at least the 5 years. The factory one did. Again, the factory one was great. Some people say the batteries lasted a year. I got 5 years out of mine. And yes, I do have a battery tender. I use it on all of my vehicles about once a month. I just hook the battery tender up to the battery, let it charge overnight before work or whatever have you. And I feel like that kind of helps extend the life of batteries in general. Just keeping the batteries topped off is a good idea, especially in cold winter and hot summer. Batteries, they get hot, they get cold, just like anything else. And I know what would happen if you left your cell phone out in the freezing cold. It just wouldn't work. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. If you like my content, please like and subscribe to the channel. And as always, have a great weekend. Bye.